Greetings, I'm Solidus-Skully and welcome back to Kingdom Hearts, where we've now entered the Cave of Wonders. A White Trinity. We'll be coming back here later when we do that cleanup video. Even though I've already picked up a few Trinities here and there, anyway, because I'm a contradictory bastard of contra-penises. Tee-hee, hoddle-har, I made a funny joke. Not really. But anyway, this is the Cave of Wonders, and this is definitely a much more labyrinthian sprawl than what we're used to seeing in Kingdom Hearts. There are a few levels, similar to this, but I mean, much in the same vein as, Agrabah, really. Well, it's testing your verticality, but at the same time it's also much more sprawling and resembles a lot of level design aesthetics, well not aesthetics I should say, level design, what should I call it, aspects? Yeah, we'll go with that. It resembles a lot of level design aspects we'll be seeing with one of the penultimate worlds of the game, but again, I kinda got ahead of myself. How can I really describe this part of the Agrabah level? Well, I mean, it's, I'm decidedly mixed on it, I'll say. There is a lot to explore, a lot to see, and a lot to do in this cave, and again, you are rewarded with a lot of treasures and riches, as the Cave of Wonders might imply. And not in the traditional sense of, you know, gold and all that kind of stuff, but mainly in terms of, like, a lot of abilities, and just general odds and ends that'll either help you get some, sweet cashola, or just stuff to help you along the way. But yeah, as you can tell, with treasure chests kind of, put over there across the way, yeah, you've got a fair few things to explore and achieve. But this does come to the level's cost, because as you can probably tell with Kingdom Hearts 1's very congested design, the fact that there's a bottomless pit, which you won't die if you fall in, but you just fall to a lower platform, so yeah, you do need to be a little bit careful about your footing, but again, you might be noticing that platforms are wide enough to support you and the other characters, but problem is, there are also a few, Indiana Jones-style hazards, for the lack of a better phrase. Like, when you have water geysers that'll push you down, you'll have boulders that'll, you know, roll down the way and bash into you. And again, it's not so much of a threat that you need to watch out and, you know, fear for your life, but it is a nuisance, and in some ways, that's quite worse. Yeah, I wouldn't really recommend equipping Sonic Blade for this, because, as you could see there, you might have a risk of falling off. I mean, the water geysers are only in set locations, and boulders do have a very specific path, as you can see right over there. So again, it's not too bad, just a bit of a nuisance, but it's enough of a nuisance that gets in your way a lot, that it does become a little bit aggravating. I mean, I don't really have much else to say, it's just that when you have a lot of enemies who fly around like the little nocturnes that you see in there, it just becomes a bit treacherous when you're trying to fight them. You have the lock-on, and the lock-on leads you off to a pit where you can fall off. Like, I mean, it's not a problem by any stretch, but it's a bit aggravating, and what's also aggravating is that you can't open treasure chests when you're in combat, which is kind of bullshit, because you want to get the treasure, get it out of the way. Jesus Christ. Well, Jesus can't help me where we are. Perhaps I should summon Ifrit, the Sand King, or the, actually I believe it's meant to be like a fire demon? Whatever. I mean, I guess it is a good place to grind, but honestly, just a bunch of other different level hazards that kind of make it a bit of a chore to do, to be honest. And again, like, I mean, you really don't want to fall off, because again, you gotta waste time trying to get back up, and I suppose that's probably the biggest way I can describe how I feel. It's a nuisance, but there is a lot of things to do. In terms of specific level challenges, this Cave of Wonders is very deliberately designed, so again, this isn't just thoughtless exploration akin to like an NES Final Fantasy. Well, no, that's probably me speaking out of turn. It's not like designed like an NES hard sort of like, you know, RPG dungeon kind of thing. You know, where you're constantly just trying to navigate around structures, not really knowing where the fuck you're going or, you know, what you're supposed to be doing. Or anything of the sort. It's just that, well, again, you have specific set pieces that we'll be seeing a bit later. You do have the main path up here, which is pretty much your way to getting towards, well, the center ring, where we'll be confronting Jafar, Genie, and, finding, well, why Homer Simpson Genie betrayed us. But again, that also requires a lot of, finagling down in the catacombs, particularly with the underwater segments that we'll, be coming up to quite soon. Again, you do have a lot to do, and, I'll admit, part of it is set up for, you know, navigating around here, finding specific treasures and trinities and all that, and of course, you know, basically just setting up the stage for you to access specific areas that you need to progress with the plot. Again, as you can see here, push this block down there. Where does it go? Who knows? But yeah, we're basically going to be needing these objects to help us reach specific areas and access certain switches. Yes indeed, we're going to be descending. And again, this also puts Sora's swimming abilities to the test. We'll be going back there a bit later because we need Donald. But we ain't got some Donald. We got some Goofies, we got some Aladdins, but we ain't got some Donalds. Then again, that's what I'm talking about right there. Like, I mean, it's nothing that's gonna make you rip your hair out, but again, it is frustrating. Another thing to really point out, again, we're not really going to be going to the underwater catacombs just yet, just navigating around and finagling, really. So again, not really much to speak of in terms of story content, because really it's just sort of, I would assume, adapting the last bit of the movie. Like, I mean, this is around about the point where Jafar attempts to gain ultimate power and become a genie himself. And unfortunately, unlike the original Arabian Nights tale, we don't have the ring to help us out, so, yes. Basically, we're just fulfilling violence. I wonder what else we can really talk about. Current events, pot spiders, smoking pot. I have no idea. I think, was it Kingdom Hearts 2 or Kingdom Hearts 3 that let you access treasure chests? I think it might have been Kingdom Hearts 2, but alas, I forget. Kingdom Hearts 3 definitely, I know that for a fact, lets you access treasure chests during combat, and thank fuckity goodness, because that was a much needed quality of life fix. Yeah, you might also be noticing that this is where I start to get the most usage out of gravity. A spell which I never really used all that much in my previous playthroughs. In fact, rarely, if ever, did I really need to use it, but yeah, I get great use of it. A lot of it was initially born out of my desire to make better use out of my spells, you know, for the sake of showing them off for a playthrough, but yeah, like, gravity is fucking sick. I really love this spell now. And again, like, I mean, in tradition with a lot of Final Fantasy spells, like, I mean, they do progressively upgrade and get more powerful as things go on, so the effects will last longer and, you know, spells will just generally look a bit cooler. And yeah, gravity goes from Gravity, Gravira, and shit, I forgot what the last tier of it was called. Gravaga, Graviga, Gravity, Avity. But anyway, the point is, and again, in keeping with a very traditional sort of puzzle structure, yeah, you're gonna be utilizing Aladdin's monkey. I forgot what the fuck its name was. Abu, was it? Aku? Whatever. Basically, you use the monkey fucker to just blow you onto specific treasure pieces. Although you can, I think if you're extremely precise and know how to use your little Keyblade boost jump to your advantage, you can actually kind of get some of the treasure chests earlier. But again, basically, you see those little monkey statues over there while Sora's currently levitating and attempting to fly? Yeah, basically, you go over to one of those monkey statues while you have Aladdin in your party, and, well, he will basically send you flying with you and me. I think you gotta finagle underwater to get those things to work, I think, or at least I'm not angling myself correctly. I have no idea, but you should just jump into my arms and fly there with you. Again, this is just but another example of wondering if I can get through these specific things by breaking the game, but I cannot. I lack the access. And yeah, as you can tell by that giant pillar blocking the entrance right behind Sora, we can't go anywhere just yet, because if we did, then we'd end the game soon. Oh no, what a terrible thing. But yeah, with that pillar blocking the way, we basically gotta, well, go down to the underwater catacombs and knock it down. So yeah, this is pretty much... I'm not really sure what to think about it. Like, I mean, looking at the gameplay footage, you know, just as it's going along, the level itself doesn't really look too bad, and again, even analysing it structurally, again, it's perfectly serviceable. It's just that when you're playing it for yourself, it does become a little bit of a... I guess a bit of like a test in frustration, really. Again, the orbs have to be glowing like that in order for either Sora to touch them or for Aku to touch them. So, yeah, that's pretty much how you get Aladdin's monkey to access them. And again, as mentioned beforehand, you need to push over specific blocks and all that kind of stuff to access different statues and, you know, get the plot moving. Some of it is for treasure chests, other bits of it is for, well, you know, just progression, obviously. So yeah, that's pretty much the meat and potatoes of how the Cave of Wonders works. Again, you do have a lot of congested area with a lot of Heartless to fight, but... Again, but aside from them and the traps, that's really the only annoying parts. In fact, part of me honestly wouldn't really mind if a lot of this was more puzzle-focused, as opposed to swinging Keyblades around and just fighting enemies like you've constantly been doing anyway. Then again, I suppose they probably wanted to have an area that, at least at this point in the game, you could reliably grind up enemies that give you up to, like, 20 points of experience, so... I don't know. Maybe development outlines and, you know, the practicality of actually executing it was a little bit different on the development stuff for Square Enix. I can't say for certain. But anyway, as you saw beforehand, again, you can swim down those little waterfall areas, and you can also swim up them for some bizarre reason. I don't know how, like it looks like probably couldn't grab on, but hey, what do I know? And again, this is where Kingdom Hearts' frustrating platforming controls gets a little bit of a pain in the ass. Like, I mean, I will say Kingdom Hearts is no Devil May Cry 1 in terms of its platforming, but jeez. Like, I mean, you're not really given a lot of leeway. Like, I mean, you do get a high jump later in the game, and eventually a sort of glide feature, but... yeah, Sora's big boots aren't really good for landing on platforms. You might have seen a bit of this during the Tarzan world, but... yeah, this is where the Keyblade boost gets, you know, a lot of use. And for those of you wondering what I'm talking about, the little Keyblade boosty is basically, again, when you're jumping towards a different platform, you swing your Keyblade and you get a slight little bit more of airtime, hang time. I'm not really sure what the proper term for that is, but basically, again, it allows you to kind of keep yourself in midair for a little bit longer, just so you can reach some specific platforms that you can get to. Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep actually does make great use of this with the dash abilities that, again, if you know where to position yourself, you can sometimes access a lot earlier than the game intends you, and you know what, to give Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep a bit of credit, that's actually pretty sweet. But in Kingdom Hearts 1, and I suppose Kingdom Hearts 2, even though there's significantly less platforming in that game than there is here, yeah, the Keyblade boosty is quite essential. How the fuck does that even work? I don't... whatever. Anyway, Aku, or whatever the fuck his monkey's name is, gives us treasure, and riches beyond our wildest dreams. Now Sora can finally get all the bitches and the riches, and, you know, buy that ring he's been saving up to get for his boyfriend Riku so they can get married in the future. Anyway, things are looking up, because we're getting to a cutscene, and, you know what, I think I might say my last bit of trivia towards the end, because I've still got a few things left to do. Again, the main precipice that you're looking for when you are down in the catacombs is basically that you're just trying to knock down a little, like a little bunch of rocks that are kind of craggly and, you know, kind of shit. So, again, just knock down a support pillar, that little column that you saw before in the Cave of Wonders in the treasure room will basically get knocked down, and you can access the boss arena where we will finally confront our enemies. I made that sound far more convoluted than it probably was, but, whatever. I don't know, like, I mean, to once again comment, I am very decidedly split on this, the Cave of Wonders as a part of the level. I mean, it's definitely got a more deliberate design about it, but, playing it is a very different story.
My first wish, Genie, show me the keyhole.
Genie is so reluctant to be working for Jafar. Little did he know that to overcome the Jafar's curse, simply quote a Bible verse. Or some other religion that would spark crusades and Richard of Lionheart and the wars and the Saracens and Crusaders and whatever. Anyway, before we close out, I figured I might as well end on a little bit of trivia. And again, I talked last time about how Robin Williams was basically never gonna voice Genie again, I think except for the third direct-to-DVD sequel for Aladdin. Well, let's talk about how he was convinced to take the role of Genie to begin with. And he took on the role because of animator Eric Goldberg, who created an animation of Genie comprised of Robin Williams' stand-up material, and that on the spot pretty much convinced him to take the role. Again, I don't know if this really exists, if it's been posted online or as like a DVD special features kind of thing, but I mean, considering how very lively and animated Genie is in both, you know, the movie and Kingdom Hearts itself, yeah, I can see why Robin Williams was convinced to take it on, and again, I think it'd be amusing to see the animation reel that contains some of Robin Williams' stand-up, because the dude was a pretty funny dude. Yeah, once again, still wouldn't really recommend using Sonic Blade on this. Again, stick to gravity, because it actually does a nice bit of damage on your enemies, and that also flattens them, and compresses their organs, which is very delightful for me. And again, this is pretty much also how you get the treasure chest. Now that you've pretty much activated the rest of the pylons, yeah, basically, Aku activates that, and he blasts you all the way over there. Squadamadoo! And this is pretty much the only treasure chest we get, where we get the Thundargajit. Feliz Navidad! Whatever, I don't really have anything else to say. But again, the other treasure chests we've pretty much already gotten by this point, thanks to the little Keyblade boosty, so not really too much to say about that. So on that note, I'm Solidus-Skully, keep it new metal, and next time on Kingdom Hearts, we're going to be finishing the Agrabah part of the game. See you later.